Because listen, if there's real probabilities behind something, you should know when they're in favor and when they're not likely to be in favor. Now, that does not mean you're going to know with 100% strike rate. That's not possible. You're human. I'm human. You're going to do something. You're going to have some kind of emotional charge behind it. I wanted to know that I knew that I knew. I wanted to know I had a tool for that. And you hear people say all the time, oh, it doesn't matter what the market's going to do. ICT is going to come up with some shit. And, he did this and did that. You're fucking right. You're damn right. That's exactly what I've spent my entire fucking adult life doing. I got tech that you couldn't even fucking imagine. And I'm sharing it before it happens, proving it. So when you look at books that talk about market wizardry, technical science, I coined that shit. I coined that. Say there ain't no technical science. Well, boom, it is now. ICT's bringing that shit. Now think about it, folks. I asked you to contemplate on what it would look like if there was really market wizardry in trading, in speculation. What would it look like? Would it look like having a map of how the market would trade in the future, almost 75% of the time doing the same thing over and over again? Wouldn't it have something like that? Yeah. That's a seasonal tendency. Seasonal tendencies are a real fucking thing. Now, they're not going to work all the time. And books don't tell you when they're not going to work. So where did ICT go in there? I want to know when they're not going to work. And by knowing that, I know when they're going to fucking work. Oh, shit. Yes. Yes. That's exactly what the fuck I did. So a market wizard would have what? A map. A map that leads to the forbidden zone, the inner circle, where the average person's not permitted to step in, and angels feared to trod. Oh, you're also going to imagine that a market wizard would have ways to determine the highest high and the lowest low for a week of trading. So young ICT set out on a quest to figure out how to do that. And ICT was successful in that. And then he started to think, hey, you know what? There's this shit called floor pivots. Pivot numbers, R1, R2, S1, S2, and the central pivot number. I spent a lot of time working with those numbers. And sometimes they work. Sometimes. But I wasn't happy with some fucking times. Okay? What if you went to work? You had perfect attendance. You had perfect fucking attendance. You did what you were told by your boss. Never started in fucking trouble. You put up with fucking Carl's bullshit every fucking day. But you don't get paid for every day of the week. Something happened. Your boss gets a case at the fucking ass and says, you know what? I just can't pay you on Thursday. But I need you to work. What the fuck? Are you gonna still put up with that shit? No, you're not. And that's how I look at it with market analysis concepts. It's got to fucking make sense. Because listen, if there's real probabilities behind something, you should know when they're in favor and when they're not likely to be in favor. Now, that does not mean you're going to know with 100% strike rate. That's not possible. You're human. I'm human. You're going to do something. You're going to have some kind of emotional charge behind it. Someone said something to you about it on the internet. Your concepts don't work. Okay. You're going to go out there and try to do what? You're trying to shove it right up their ass. So you really want to see that trade pan out and you're stalking it. You really want it to happen. Well, is that really trading clear-headed? No. Absolutely not. So there's going to be this human element that's always introduced in trading. If you're depressed, like I mentioned this morning, if there's issues that's going on in your personal life, that's going to influence your decision-making skills. It's going to make you lethargic, or it make you a little exaggerated and quick to make a move because you want to take that sting away from whatever's causing you depression and replace it with a feel-good lottery win. But you have to have a faith in understanding that what we do as a trader, there's something behind these catalysts, these triggers that cause us to get in a trade, to place a stop wherever we're going to place the stop, to risk as much as we're going to risk, and the target where we're expecting to see market trade to as an objective or a terminus. And largely, if you look at what we have put up with retail horseshit over the course of your career and mine, it's a lot of bullshit out there. It's a lot of bullshit. And think about how much you talked yourself into believing that nonsense, hoping that it was going to take you out of your job, when you really had no fucking proof that that shit was going to work. It was just a whim, a hunch. Oh, it's a hope, a wishful prayer. Man, I hope these moving averages and animal patterns lead to me making money so I can get out of my job. I hope these Gartley patterns deliver, these butterflies and bats. So I decided that I was going to spend my life pursuing real precision-oriented things. And I wanted tools that would tell me when to do something and when not to do something, and it would not be ambiguous. So I sat out and looked for when the high of the week would form and when the low of the week would form and what days they would form. And where was I inspired by that? Larry Williams. He would have this thing called Trading Day of the Month. Now, they weren't all that accurate, but the major turns, and let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a seasonal tendency for the S&P and the bond market over the course of each individual month. So if you have trading days for the month, we'll say an average of 20 trading days, Monday through Friday, 4 weeks or whatever. And what the market typically did, he crunched the numbers and he spit out this data that said, by far and large, this is usually what the S&P and or the bond market would do for this month of the year. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh shit, I'm going in there. And every single day, if it was a down tick on the line chart, that's basically what he was showing you, then I would sell short. And I got my ass handed to me. And then what I started doing was, and it really wasn't a smart thing to do, but I was impulsive, obviously, as a young man, and I was trying to make a lot of money real quick. But I noticed that the key turning point for each trading day of the month template that he produced and shared, if I just focused on the highest one when it was getting ready to go down, I was waiting for that one to occur. And then the next day, then I would look for the trade to go short. So I was using it as a confirmation. But it really inspired me to look for things that would tell me what? A roadmap. That idea inspired me to go in looking for things that would give me an insight. And I literally scoured every fucking time frame on the S&P and on the bond market. I literally stripped those two markets down to ticks for years of data. I would have that shit in books, in spiral notebooks with me in my truck, delivering candy bars and fucking tasty cakes, coffee and sodas and shit. And when I had 1 or 2 minutes sitting at a stoplight, that page was already open for me to start looking at shit again. I was a nut with it. I needed to constantly be a sponge. And every time I saw something, new ideas, I wouldn't say epiphanies, because there was a lot of things that I thought I was being led to look into, and they really didn't pan out. They were just dead ends. But over the course of 15 years, 18 years, most of what I have today that is who I am was derived from all of that shit, digging into things that really was an inspiration to be nothing like anyone else. Like I wanted to be able to sit down with a Larry Williams, you know what I mean? And say, here's what I've done. And I knew if I ever had an opportunity to see this man, and I just had to tell my oldest son yesterday, I said, he's in his 80s and shit, so he's old. But I would love to meet him, shake his hand, and then show him what I have done and say, look, your shit's awesome. In the 1970s, I was fucking brilliant shit. But look what the fuck I've done. Look at this shit. Look at this. This is nuts. Like, how many times have you seen me call the high and the low of the day? Now, granted, I was off by a point today. Okay. It happens. I've already made concessions, with that and told you, hey, look, sometimes I'm off a little bit. But I do this day in, week out, month, year, everything. I've been doing this for years. Quietly in my own little corner of the community as traders. Until I stepped out there, none of you knew me, and you didn't know this stuff was possible. If someone would have told you that you could forecast how the market's going to gravitate back to, think about those pivots. Okay. Think about the floor traders pivot numbers. I've used them, and many times the market would just smoke them, go right on through, and it's like they weren't even there. So what happened? People started doing what? Tinkering with it. Here's the version of floor trader pivot numbers, this guy's version of it, and this guy. How many fucking floor pivot numbers do you need? It's the same one that's always been used by the floor traders when they were in the open outcry pits, in the Chicago Mercantile Chains, and the CBOT. It's the same fucking plain Jane pivot numbers. Okay. What happens is people take something and they tinker and tinker and tinker and tinker because they want to leave a mark on the industry. They want to be worshipped. And I wasn't really interested in all that. So I had all these tools, I had all these weapons of mass destruction. And the only person I really was interested in sharing it with was Larry Williams. That was really what I was doing. I was building up this volume of work to say, look, this is what you fucking caused in my life. You inspired me to do these things. And I've never met him, and I know he's heard about me because trolls and such have commented and told, hey, ICT said you mentored him. And he's been honest. Look, I've been honest. I've never met him in my life. I've never met him. But he has been, like, I've never met none of you, but I'm your mentor. I'm teaching. I'm actively teaching you. I couldn't recognize you in a group of people as a person that listens to me, but you know that you are a student of mine. And if you introduce yourself, hi, I'm so-and-so. I listen to your mentorship lecture work, and, this is what I'm doing with it, or this is my opinion about it. I would recognize you that way. But until the trolls went and started messing with him and his wife, unfortunately, harassing him, that moment where I could sit down with him and say, hey, look, you were very inspirational to me when I was a young man. You were a catalyst to cause me to go in and look for shit that is off the beaten trail. And for someone that says there isn't them guys did it to us guys again, there isn't these people out there just going after your stock. And I've said this publicly, and not to be disrespectful, but he's fucking wrong. Okay. There's an entity out there that does that. Okay. And you're hearing it. So the point is, he inspired me to dig into things on a very deep and technical, pursuit. And I learned how to really call the highs and the lows of the day. Where when you think about, like, when we were younger, back in the the 90s. And I'm saying that, man, some of you probably are listening, they're older than me and have traded using pivot numbers and shit like that. And you're laughing yourself. I was using that shit too back in the day. But it wasn't really consistent with giving you the high and the low of the day. Usually you get one or two of the levels be hit and that would be it. Usually the one level S1 or S2, the support level, one of them would be real close to the low of the day sometimes. And then other times it wouldn't be anywhere around it. So I was really never satisfied with that. I believed as a young man, once I started digging into the data and started seeing shit, I'm like, okay, this keeps repeating. I see this. Like, I fucking see this thing, okay? This little thing that I called and dubbed the fair value gap. It's much like when, well, it was my nephew. No, not my nephew, my cousin, Aaron, my Uncle Stan's son. When I sat there and watched him coming up, and he used to read these little highlight books. They're called Highlight. And it's kind of like a children's activity book. They would be mailed to your house every month. And in one page out of this book, I like to get it before he did. Before he came home from school, I'd already look at it, and I wouldn't mark it up, but I would look at it because there's a page in there that is a hidden picture book. And what it is these little things. It's like sometimes I'll draw a cup or a candlestick, a literal candlestick, not a chart like we look at candlesticks, or a shoe or a needle, something like that. And they hide that picture inside of a picture. So I've always been into shit like that. Like, I look for that kind of stuff. I'm analytical. I'm looking for patterns within patterns. I'm looking for, shit that isn't typical. A puzzle. So when I started looking at price action, I was convinced that if I looked at it hard enough, studied it long enough, and turned every fucking thing that I've ever learned as a retail-minded trader, the shit that we're told to look for, what would be the fucking opposite of that? An indicator that tells you what? If it's saying it's overbought, and retail is going to say it's time to look for bearish diversions and it's going to go lower, well, shit, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to look for a drop down into a fair value gap when it does that, and then I'm going to buy that motherfucker and I'm going to reach for buy side liquidity, because that's exactly how I lost my ass in my real accounts as a 20-year-old. I set out to look for these repeating phenomena in price, and I started seeing these things at the time I was looking at open, high, low, and close bars. So that really puts a big strain on one's eyes. And I was never really early on a fan of candlesticks, because I thought it was like a cop out. Like, this is like preschool. Who the fuck wants to look at that? A real chartist looks at the left tick, which is the opening price, one single line up or down, which is the open high. I'm sorry, the high and low. And then the right tick to the vertical line that creates the high and low. That's the closing price. So it's open, high, low, and close. So I put off using candlesticks for a long time, and I wish I would have done it sooner. My vision probably would have been spared a whole lot of fatigue over the years looking at that shit. But I was looking at fair value gaps through the lens of the open, high, low, and close bar. It looks a little bit different. You got to really look at the ticks on that little tiny vertical line that makes up the bar interval, whatever the time frame you're looking at. And there was charting packages that sometimes didn't have the closing price. It just gave you, the opening price. It would just give you the high and low and the close. So we didn't have all the benefits. But here's the thing. Okay? Why would some charting packages, some charting platforms, not show you an opening tick? Think about that. That was a fucking clue to me. I'm like, why isn't this showing an opening tick? It just gives me the high and the low and the closing price. What the fuck? Where's the opening price at? Where do we start trading at? And it made me think that they're hiding something. The conspiracy theorist in me started thinking, okay, they're not sharing that. So what the fuck's up? Just like the Commitment of Traders report. We used to have to get that like every 2 weeks. And then it became an every week thing. But we still had to wait. It was a delay. It was a delay. It was a delay. And we had to wait for the volume numbers, what the real volume number was for the previous day's trading. We had to wait a day later. Why can't you have the fucking data today? Like, why can't you have that today? It was all these delays. See, you're fucking spoiled rotten and you don't even realize it because you have all of this information right in this little thing that I'm talking into right now, this stupid fucking cell phone. You have the world at your fingertips. Swipe here, click here, boom, boom, boom. Open up an app. You got information immediately that we did not have in the 90s. And for folks that were trading before me, they didn't have it. Dinosaurs. We were fucking dinosaurs running around, printing out the little tick. We had to guess on the chart. When we did our charts, we fucking wrote that little line, squiggly bullshit, on a graph paper. We guessed, okay, this is about where the opening price would be here in relationship to where we closed yesterday. There's no fucking measurement perfectly doing it. It's just eyeballing it. You know, the folks that's been around for a long time, Ken Roberts bullshit. We had to update our charts by hand. And some of you are so fucking impatient and entitlement minded. You can't even appreciate the level of technology you have today that I know I didn't have when I first started. So you can't track 20 motherfucking markets if you're doing the chart by hand each day. You'll never get anything done. And we updated what? Our stochastic indicator. Yeah, all that shit had to be done by fucking hand calculation. Okay, this is where the average would be here. The D line and the K line, and this is where they would be. Yeah, man, that's how it fucking was. It's worse than your grandfather walking to fucking school and the store with no fucking socks on and flip flops and knee deep fucking snow. You heard the stories too. Everybody hears the bullshit, right? But in trading, this is the really real shit. This is how it was. It was some archaic fucking shit that we had to deal with. And data was a premium commodity. If you could get your hands on data, that's what we were pursuing all the time. And I poured myself into that. And I started seeing these things repeating by reversing everything that retail would expect every trader using it would be doing. Just because an indicator says it's over fucking bought does not mean that's a short. Just because it's overbought and then it diverges bearishly doesn't mean it's a short. Even when the market's going down. It doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean anything. It just means that you looked at a number of candles in that interval of time. You crunched the numbers, you beat the shit out of the data, and you finally made it submit to whatever output you want. That's what indicators do. That's all it does. And when you hear somebody say, we're optimizing your bullshit, your form fitting is what you're doing. There's no optimization. It's form fitting. That's what you're fucking doing. So when I looked at data and I looked at times where everything in my rules using retail bullshit said, okay, this is a buy. At that moment, I stopped, turned everything upside down, and I would go into the price action and say, okay, where is the fucking short? What things keep fucking repeating that caused this market to tear my ass up and go the other direction? And then it appeared. Order block, breaker, mitigation block, fair value gap, institutional order flow entry drill. What you know is the flagship, well, no, it's probably not the flagship pattern anymore on my channel, but the optimal trade entry. That logic, I saw that formed on a corn chart. The very thing that I looked for. I'm sorry, that's not true. I'm thinking of the reflection pattern. Reflection is the reverse of the optimal trade entry, where it makes the higher high. It usually forms the breaker. And some of you are like, oh, what did you just say? A reflection pattern? That's some old school shit, man. But those patterns, they were found by looking at shit opposite to what we're told to do. And you see when I'm executing, just read the comments. It's fun reading it. I love it because they're like, how the fuck is he doing that? Right. And that's exactly what I was saying to myself. How the fuck am I losing all the time? I bought all these books. I'm following every fucking rule these guys are saying. And every fucking time I do this, it's going against me. How the fuck is that possible, right? That's what most of us would think. If you're trying to stay in this, the smartest people are the ones that know they can't do this and they stop. That's wisdom. That's not weakness. Because if you know you can't do this, you want to know as soon as you possibly can come to that conclusion, so that way you don't waste any more money, no more time, and no more peace of mind. But if you listen to things like I'm doing right here, you're a fucking trader. Nobody would listen to somebody bloviate like this unless they absolutely fucking love trading. They love everything about it. They love the analysis. They love the lifestyle. They love every detail, everything that makes up this industry and what it is. You live and breathe it. You don't really like me. You just like the fucking shit that I'm sharing with you because it's empowering. You know a superpower when you fucking see it. And that's what I'm sharing. I'm teaching you how not to be a victim to fucking retail kryptonite. This Superman ain't got no fucking concern or worry about retail bullshit. That's never going to beat this. And because this is the market, that's why I tell you all the time, don't be fearful, because this market wizardry is going to keep on fucking rolling. Even if people come up and say, oh, well, everybody's doing this now, you're becoming the new retail. No, because there's a new round of suckers coming into this that don't know what they're doing, and they're buying all the bullshit. They're buying harmonic pattern courses. They're looking at bullshit they call harmonic, algorithmic horseshit, and it loses their fucking money. You put that against something like this, this is beating its fucking ass. Day in, day out, month after month, year after year, the data doesn't fucking lie. Period. Receipts every fucking day. Every fucking day. Proof, precision, foresight. It's all being shown to you. You cannot fake this. You can't fucking Mickey Mouse it. It's 100% in your fucking face. You can't hide from it. And why people want to wrestle with it, and it's like, oh, well, this is a fad right now. I guarantee you, they're going to talk about this shit even when I'm gone. When I'm no longer among you, okay? They're going to talk about this stuff. It's changed everything. And you watched it. You're part of it. That's exciting. Like, you were here when this shit happened. You're living in a fucking Gann moment. Think about that. Like, you're here. That's not an inflated, egotistical thing to say. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. It's this phenomenon, this approach to deciphering price, reading it, forecasting it, and engaging it on a level of precision that is unfucking rivaled. So I'm looking for details in price action that tells me with a high degree of precision that I am absolutely in a moment, in an instant, where there is an arm wrestling match between people like Algobox, retail shit, harmonic this, and moving average horse shit, golden crosses. That's all dumb shit. Proof. Look at his live streams. You'll see it fails. It fucking fails. It's not precise. He'll show you shit after the fact. I'm calling it live, minute by fucking minute. Hello. That shit is the real poison. That's the stuff that you're going to fall victim to trying to trade with. And when there's an arm wrestling match between what real algorithmic theory and price delivery, which is what I'm teaching you, when that is up against anything else, the anything else is fucking losing.